Damn you, England! God, I'm freezing my Hello Electroheads and welcome to sunny Milton Keynes, the second most boringly named place in the UK, second only to Slough. Fun fact about Milton Keynes, just kidding, there aren't any. Now, this is the Mercedes EQC and I think it's one of the most overlooked electric cars on sale right now. This should be a very important car. It's the first electric Merc, well, the first proper electric Merc. And Mercedes is the world's oldest car maker, one of the most prestigious, luxurious car brands in the world. And yet, when this car came along last year, I really don't remember there being a lot of fanfare for it in the press, nor in the year since. Today we're going to try and find out why that is. Does the Mercedes EQC deserve more respect? Or is there something not quite right about it? Right, let's talk about the outside of the Mercedes EQC, and let's do it quite quickly because it's cold out here. The headline is, well, it looks like a Mercedes SUV. If you lined it up with the other 70 SUVs Mercedes makes, you'd probably have a hard time recognizing which one was the electric one. But if you look closely, there are a couple of cute little design cues unique to this car. First of all, we've got this light bar across the back. Seems like everyone and their mum is putting a light bar on cars these days, but this one's got one at the front as well, like a sort of light up unibrow. Also at the front, and I'll show you in the B-roll because again, I'm not going around there, it's even rainier somehow. You can notice a little flash of blue in the headlights. Blue is the chosen color for the Mercedes EQ electric spin-off brand, and it features a few different places on the car. Another detail I'm a huge fan of on this car are the wheels. These are actually the aero wheels and they look awesome. Usually the aero wheels are the least interesting looking, but they're the ones that give you the most range. They are great design on this car. However, there is an even better looking set of wheels available on the EQC. You can get these 21-inch multi-spokes that are to die for. Some of the coolest wheels you can get on a new car right now. Feel free to comment below if you can think of a better set. It's so cold! Oh, right, welcome to the inside of the Mercedes EQC, and ooh, it's a bit nice in here. And dry, it's nice and dry. This is why people buy Mercs, isn't it? For the luxury, for the exquisite materials and the cutting edge technology, and the EQC has got plenty of both. I mean, just look at this door. Look at this door. Look at all the different materials. I've got some lovely soft leather up here. I've got, kind of feels like waterproofed suede, and this, I mean, I don't even know what that is. That's how poor I am. And even the little things, like look at these lovely switches for the windows. They might be plastic, they might be metal, but they look like metal and they've got a lovely weight to them, a lovely click. All the buttons, everything you touch just feels expensive. These seats, exquisite. They're like big armchairs. God, it's just so comfortable. And here's another thing I love in here. Look at these copper vents. Mercedes always get a little bit crazy with their air vent design. In the old generation Merc cabin, they were really fancy. Now they're copper. I just love imagining that this is where the very sensible German engineers are given permission to let their hair down a little bit. Oh, Klaus, I can't believe you made some copper. You're so crazy. And we have got to talk about this infotainment system. One of the best on any car I've ever seen. And also the controls for it, so intuitive. It looks a bit daunting. There's a million buttons on the wheel and all this down here, but it's actually really quite simple and so lovely to use. Down here, we've got a trackpad, which is actually haptic. So I've got a little sound and a little vibration when I scroll across. So nice to use. And then on the steering wheel, we've got what I'm convinced are the trackpads from two BlackBerry Bold phones. Remember those? Look it up. You can use those to navigate through the menu as well. The left one does the main screen, the right one does my speedo here, and I can change what's in my gauge clusters and do all sorts of fancy things. Looks a bit scary at first, but you get used to it really quickly, and I love these controls. My only complaint in here is that it's not as spacious as it could be. See, the Mercedes EQC is not a purpose-built electric car. It's actually a petrol-powered Mercedes GLC with some heavy modifications, and as a result, it's got this transmission tunnel. It's electric, it doesn't have a transmission, which means that this is wasted space. Although, I do like that. Right, we are now out on the road in the Mercedes EQC. Been driving it for all of 5 minutes now, and the first word that comes to mind while driving this car, peaceful. This is going to sound like a really dumb thing to say on a channel dedicated to electric vehicles, but you know what this car is? It's really quiet. Like really quiet. There's no high-pitched motor whine, there's no synthetic spaceship sounds. There's barely any road noise or wind noise, all of which are usually really quite noticeable in electric vehicles. God, driving this car just makes me feel so calm. Listen to what it's doing to my voice. I'm not doing that on purpose, that's the EQC. That was Duran Duran, and you're listening to 106.9. I have said time and time again in the past that no type of car is more suited to electric power than luxury. I have no idea why the likes of Merc and Bentley and Rolls-Royce and all of those guys are taking so long to go electric, because it's an easy win for them. There are engineers at Rolls-Royce who have spent decades of their life refining combustion engines so that they are so quiet you can barely hear them and so smooth you can balance a coin on top of them. But do you know what else is really quiet and smooth? Electric power. Let's have a little chat about the driving modes in this car. The EQC comes with a few presets. We've got Comfort, Sport, Eco, and Maximum range. I want you to disregard the Sport setting because this is not a sporty car. It is quick, look. Yeah, that's... if you heard that little sound of my cameraman Cole almost throwing up his lunch, but it's fast. A quick car, no doubt, but not a sporty one. This thing weighs 2.5 tons, and anytime you try and chuck it through some corners with a bit of vigor or brake hard, it feels like 2.5 tons. It's a bit like steering a ship. But that's okay, because this is a luxury SUV, and judging it based on its handling characteristics would be like judging a supercar on how well it does the school run. Doesn't really matter. You would think that comfort is the perfect setting for this car, but do you know what? I find myself mostly driving in maximum range. In most electric cars I've driven, the max range setting is actually very simple. It just kind of limits your use of the aircon and doesn't let you play the radio too loud. It's for getting home when you're really low on battery. In the EQC, it's smarter than that. So here's how the max range setting works. We're currently on a 60-mile-an-hour single carriageway road. What I'm going to do is floor it, and not very much happens. What the car is doing is reading the speed limit of the road that I'm on and then gently accelerating me up to the speed limit, no further, in as efficient a manner as possible. And what's really cool about it is when I press on the throttle, I can feel a lump halfway through the kind of throttle pedal travel. That's the car going, hey, stop here. That's enough throttle for now. Now, if I want to go faster, I can push through and we go quickly. But if I just stop my foot where that lump is in the throttle pedal, that's all the throttle I need, and the car is doing the rest for me. Now, this is no autonomous driving. I'm still steering, I'm still making sure that we don't rear end the car in front. But what it does is make getting the most range possible out of your battery effortless and not in any way annoying or inconvenient. Let's talk a bit about range. The EQC has an 80 kilowatt hour battery, and the range is quoted at being 231 to 259 miles by Mercedes, which is about the same as the e-tron and the I-Pace. No complaints about that range personally, and truthfully, you wouldn't want a bigger battery because it already weighs as much as a medium-sized mountain. Any more and it would actually sink into the concrete as you were driving along. As for price, the EQC starts at 65 grand before the government EV grant. Again, roughly the same territory as that e-tron and I-Pace that it's up against. So coming back to that question I asked at the start of this video, why did the Mercedes EQC, the first electric car from the world's oldest car brand, why did it get so little attention when it came out? I think I know the answer now. It's because, in truth, Mercedes played it very safe with this car. It didn't give the EQC some outrageous styling, and it didn't build it on its own dedicated platform, which meant, as far as the press were concerned, there wasn't a huge amount of new stuff to talk about. It's very clear when you drive the EQC that Mercedes made a conscious decision not to make its first electric car anything too risky, and to make it something that would feel familiar and unintimidating to someone who had never been in an electric car. And fundamentally, if we're being completely honest, this is a petrol-powered Merc with some batteries. Instead of diving headfirst into electrification, Mercedes has just dipped a pinky toe in the water and checked the temperature. Does that make this a bad car? Absolutely not. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you make a new electric car. This is still a Mercedes. It's refined, it's comfortable, the cabin is beautiful, the infotainment is brilliant, it is so quiet. It's one of the most refined EVs that I've driven for sure. And actually right now, driving through the English countryside in this miserable, drizzly weather, I can't think of many cars that I'd rather be in. Now don't get me wrong, when Merc decides to go all in on electric and build us an EV that's designed from the ground up to be electric and has all the advantages that come with that, that's when things will start to get properly exciting. In the meantime, the EQC is a great start. It's a lovely car, and above all else for me, it is absolute proof that luxury cars are so much better off when they're electric. And there we have it, the Mercedes EQC. By no means a game changer, but a great electric car nonetheless. Let us know in the comments, what do you make of the Mercedes EQC? And let us know what electric car you'd like to see on the channel next. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.